From beautiful British Columbia, you're watching John Lovelace's West Coast Escapes.
Let's blue sky, let's imagine, let's get a dream of how good things can be. Let's blue sky, let's imagine, let's get a dream of how good things can be.
On today's show, we have something for everyone. We look at a float-home lifestyle on a slough in New Westminster. We bike on Vancouver Island. I take the Navajo from Pitt Meadows to fly into the Boundary area to discover why it has become a tourism mecca of British Columbia. We look at the Celeste area of the Shuswap Lake, and then it's all aboard for a trip on the Rocky Mountaineer.
Let's blue sky, let's imagine, let's get a dream of how good things can be.
Today we are taking you on a journey into the area that has become known as British Columbia's Boundary Country. It's named Boundary because the region falls right along the boundary bordering Canada and the United States. It lies to the east of the southern Okanagan Valley and just to the west of the West Kootenay. Two geographical features dominate the Kootenay region of British Columbia: mountains and water. The Granby and Kettle Rivers converge just north of the border at Grand Forks, which just so happens to be the largest city in the area. The Kettle crosses the boundary at the town of Midway, near the confluence of the Kettle and Boundary Creek, which flows out of the Boundary Creek Basin, where the city of Greenwood is located. The town of Grand Forks lies immediately upon the border between the Kettle and Granby rivers.
It's a community that I came to 15 years ago for a job interview and fell in love with it. I spent the first couple of weeks here looking around and decided it was a community worth spending some time in, so I took a job here and never looked back. There's everything you want here in a small town.
The entire region is comprised of 8,096 square kilometers and is home to more than 50,000 residents. The forested boundary region is filled with treasures, both literally and metaphorically. It's no wonder people have flocked to this area for well over a century. Since the late 1800s, gold and minerals were its riches. But today, the area is treasured for its abundance of scenic beauty and its many activities. Its valleys, rivers, and lakes and mountains provide the playground for sports enthusiasts. From mountain biking to fishing, to cave crawling to canoeing, there's always something new awaiting to explore in the region. Likely inspired by their rich surroundings and heritage, towns like Greenwood and Midway are known for their artisans who create handmade treasures, and the area houses many living museums and old heritage buildings which are still standing in the city center. Christina Lake is a crown jewel of the area.
People come to Christina Lake for the lifestyle, and what I mean about lifestyle is there's an element of the lake, of course, and then there's a lot of natural space around it. There are no big box stores, there are no franchises per se, and people just like the close-knit community and the feeling of neighbors that actually know you. But most of the people coming here are just really wanting to get to a slower pace, a different lifestyle, and it's based on natural spaces, green environment.
Christina Lake offers the quintessential Canadian vacation experience for those lazy summer months. The Boundary region is blessed with rural lifestyles, and with the bustling town of Grand Forks at its heart, conveniences are never too far away. There's fishing and hiking and swimming and hunting, and there's some extraordinary downhill and cross-country biking. Actually, when you come to think about it, there isn't much they don't have here, except maybe traffic, smog, and other big city problems. Whether you're seeking adventure, isolation, relaxation, or family time, or just something new and different, the Boundary area is the answer. Come and see for yourself the beautiful landscapes the Boundary area has to offer. A few hours north of Boundary area, we discovered a terrific hideaway tucked on the shores of Kootenay Lake. Ainsworth is a hidden West Coast escape. It's a small town that has a population of not much more than 50 people. It's known as one of the oldest surviving communities in the Kootenay. Its prized possession started off with silver in the late 1800s, and it wasn't until 1920 when they realized the real treasure lay in its natural hot springs. Today, the Ainsworth is known for having the best commercial hot springs in all of British Columbia. The West Coast Escapes crew leaped at the opportunity to see this beauty and caught up with the owners of the popular tourist destination, the Ainsworth Hot Springs Resort.
It's very popular, Ainsworth Hot Springs, because of the caves, not only because of the hot water. The caves are like a sauna. People just really relax in the caves. And it's very therapeutic. People come here to relieve their aches and pains, like arthritis, all those things.
The biggest thing to deal with here is the mineral water itself. It's out of the ground at 117 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's constant. That does not change. To bring it down into the caves, we have to actually cool it. It's 117 is just a touch hot for most people. But I think, as Joyce said, the caves are no other hot spring has a cave like this. This is totally unique.
Joyce and Norman have been living and working out of Ainsworth for over 30 years and love calling this quiet town their home. Their accommodations offer 43 rooms and a top-notch wining and dining experience. And of course, the caves and the hot springs themselves are a necessary visit. Ainsworth Hot Springs is a perfect getaway on beautiful Kootenay Lake.
We're here at the world-famous Tickleberries outside of Okanagan Falls. It actually helped put OK Falls here on the map. Now you ask yourself, what is Tickleberries? Well, it's dried fruit mixed with pure milk chocolate, and they were actually one of the first people in Canada to patent this idea. They not only sell these, but a whole lot of other tasty treats, so let's go give them a try.
The West Coast Escapes crew traveled to the heart of British Columbia's wine country through Osoyoos, just north of Oliver in the Okanagan Valley. It's a place filled with vineyards and orchards, farms and lakes. Now, this popular vacation destination can be accessed in a 5-hour drive from Vancouver, but we're not here today because of the wine. We have come here to visit a local landmark. It's called Tickleberries, and Kelsey is the manager.
Kelsey, this is such a cute little place.
Thank you so much.
Tell me about Tickleberries.
Actually, a tickleberry is known. It's a dried fruit covered in chocolate. We were the first people in Canada to patent chocolate-covered dried fruit here, and we do raspberries, blueberries, cherries, cranberries, apricots, and we sell them at the store and also at Christmas craft fairs across Canada. We are known worldwide for our ice cream mostly, but we also do fudge, gifts, and we also have a coffee shop as well. So that's our maple walnut. This is really good.
And who doesn't love fudge? There's so much to see and do in the Okanagan Valley. It'd be a real shame if you came all the way up here and you missed the Tickleberries along the way. So if you're making this your next vacation spot, be sure to stop off at 13th and Main. You'll be sure to have a tickleberry or two waiting for you.
Thank you.
So take a big of our famous kettle corn for the road, eat it up, and thank you so much for stopping by.
Thanks. On today's West Coast Escapes, we take you to Vancouver Island, where we do some extreme bike riding in Cumberland. Then we head back to Vancouver, where it's all aboard for an unforgettable excursion to the backcountry of BC with the Rocky Mountaineer. But first, we are headed to the interior for some fun in the sun. As one of Canada's most beautiful lakes, BC Shuswap Lake is an excellent choice for a summer vacation or retirement living. Whether you love to golf, swim, surf, or spend the day geocaching with the family, it's all here for you in the Shuswap. Your first stop, if you're traveling from the coast, is Chase, a small community nestled on the Little Shuswap and the western end of the Thompson River. It's home to a beautiful golf course on the water, a quaint weekly farmers market, and, of course, sandy beaches. Salmon Arm is in the heart of the region. It is a charming town aligned with hanging flower baskets and bustling boutiques. When vacationing in the Shuswap, be ready to enjoy a well-rounded holiday with a mix of leisure and recreation. Today, we profile Dale Lewis in Celesta, a small town set amongst picturesque backdrops on the northern shores of the Shuswap Lake. He and his wife Corinne have been operating a family business, offering a wide variety of waterfront rental properties from cabins to condos to townhomes. Dale has been a long-time resident and knows a thing or two about water sports. In fact, he owns and operates his own surf shop out of Celesta called Sun Beach.
If you're just leisurely paddling, you're just going to do kind of a regular canoe paddle stroke. If you're kind of doing a power stroke, you actually keep your arms sort of bent here.
Dale loves to teach his guests how to get their feet wet in Shuswap Lake, and I just had to have a lesson. But not before I picked out the perfect bikini for the task at his surf shop. They have a huge selection of all the latest beach fashion, so you can look the part even if you're not an expert.
Wow, look at that!
So we jumped in his boat and headed out to the lake where Dale gave me a private lesson in surfing and paddleboarding. I think it was pretty obvious that Dale was pretty impressed with my surfing skills. And I guess you could say I got a real taste for the water. The Shuswap region has a lot to offer, so when you come here between golfing, houseboating, beachcombing, take some time out to look up Dale Lewis. He will get you out on the water and looking like a pro in no time. Cumberland is a small community with a population of just over 2,800, and it's located in the Comox Valley of Vancouver Island. The prosperity of this town began with mining and logging in the late 1800s and has now been replaced with recreation and culture. And it's quickly becoming the riding mecca of Vancouver Island. The Cumberland Community Forest is surrounded with mighty Douglas fir and cedar trees. It encompasses a unique mix of trails, ideal for any level of mountain bike enthusiast. While we were here, we checked in with Martin Reddy. He is the owner and lead guide of Island Mountain Rides. He's been riding these local trails for over 12 years.
What we have here is some fantastic mountain biking trails, great scenery, anything from beginner to expert terrain, across country to downhill. You can expect anything from like beginner style, smooth, fast, kind of fun trails to technical downhill or technical cross-country riding. The rides can go anywhere from, well, I mean, you can do really short rides to an hour, but generally my tours range from 3 hours to 6 hours plus. I'll ride as long as you guys can handle it, basically.
You're the expert rider.
That's right, yeah. If you want to come for a ride, you don't want to spend all your time looking at a map and maybe not seeing the trails that the locals ride, and doing the trails in the proper direction so you can make the most out of your experience.
Island Mountain Rides provides professional mountain bike guiding service on one of the most beautiful islands in the world. Come and experience it for yourself. And while you're here, why not stay at the newly renovated Best Western Westerly on the river? They have storage facilities on site perfect for securing oversized sporting equipment, whether you're hitting the mountains or leisurely enjoying the landscape. Next stop, all aboard the Rocky Mountaineer. For over 20 years, over 1 million guests have experienced the spectacular train trip through British Columbia and Alberta. The Rocky Mountaineer has become best known for the world-acclaimed 2-day, all-daylight rail journey through the Canadian Rockies in Western Canada. The ride recaptures the romance of rail travel, as it follows historic train routes constructed over a century ago. Guests can experience unparalleled panoramic views of their surroundings through full-length dome coaches or through the open-air heritage observation cars. The service on board your trip is second to none. Your experience will include gourmet meals prepared by Rocky Mountaineers onboard chefs. The Rocky Mountaineer train travels in both eastbound and westbound directions, between the beautiful coastal cities of Vancouver to the mountain resort town of Whistler, through the Rocky Mountains to Jasper, Banff, and into the foothills of Calgary, Alberta. All that's left for you to do is sit back in your roomy reclining seat, relax, and prepare to be spoiled as you take in breathtaking scenery. Whether it's glacier-fed lakes, majestic mountains, or endearing wildlife, you'll be sure to have an unforgettable time.
So this isn't very typical of West Coast Escapes because I've got no airplane here and no FJ Cruiser. I've got my city car and I'm in the city. This is Queensborough in New Westminster. I'm going to show you something amazing about this area because we're right here on the Annacis Slough on the Fraser River. I'm going to show you how you can get your own float home. You know, it's funny, with every step as I get closer and closer to the water, I can feel this fresh air and the smell of the brackish water here on the Fraser. And there's ducks around here. And the best thing about it is how it's truly affordable to get a place like this. When you compare the high cost of living in Vancouver to the relatively lower cost of living on the water.
When I first moved to the West Coast, I lived in a floating home. I loved it. It's a unique lifestyle. Traditionally, floating homes reflect the spirit of their owners. They're a colorful, eclectic bunch who share a desire to live life on the river. They have a respect for Mother Nature and a passion for the water. There are two prime requirements for a floating home location. First, the water has to be protected and calm regardless of the wind direction. There has to be a suitable depth for tidal fluctuations. The two home locations are met beautifully at this float home location. We caught up with realtor Leah Bach. She's an expert on floating homes. She was brought up on the river, and like me, she once lived in a floating home.
When I walked down here, I talked about the affordability because, you know, a lot here in the Lower Mainland can run $1 million. The capital cost of getting a start here, which is a water lot, is how much?
It's $300,000.
$300,000 on the overall scheme of things is not a whole lot of money. But then also, is there a lot of money involved with carrying it after you get the lot?
There actually isn't. It's like owning a piece of your own strata. And there's some common areas in a strata that you pay maintenance fees essentially for. And the maintenance fees, as of today, are only $160 a month.
That's it?
That's it. There is a small piece of land attached to each of these units. But essentially what that does is gives you the right to live on the water.
So this is typical of other units that are around the Lower Mainland?
No, actually, a lot of them don't. Most of them are rentals only, and you pay by the square footage that you take up. And so you can pay $800 to $1,000 a month in rent, and they call it moorage, in some of these other locations. There are developments like this, but they are 25 years old. And the other thing that we have that other stratas don't have is an incredible view. And an incredible view that every single homeowner here enjoys. We're in one straight line, so every property looks out onto this park.
And you have the community here too, because you're right at Queensborough into New West, and they've got, if anybody knows New West, lots of entertainment, lots of great pubs, theaters, everything. There's a little small town feel I get in New West when I go through it.
Now, $300,000 will get you that waterfront strata lot, but you still have to cover the expense of the home. And we take a look at what one homeowner did to create that perfect riverfront lifestyle.
Well, this is the designer's concept within a Linwood building scheme. So what they did was they took a design and then amended it and changed it to make it reflect their true lifestyle. So this particular owner wanted to have the full vaulted ceilings, finished with the beautiful wood, with also lighting underneath each, so that as it gets darker outside, the lighting comes up and lights the whole ceiling. They've engineered hardwood floors and a beautiful Italian chandelier, as well as this incredible gourmet kitchen with restorated appliances. These are actually brand new manufactured to look like old appliances. So really quite remarkable. As well, we have the spiral staircase and the open loft concept bedroom.
What is the lifestyle down here?
The lifestyle is It's quiet, it's community, it's neighborhood. These are people that have lived their lives sometimes around the water. They are boaters and fishermen. They appreciate that peace and quiet, and yet still have that access to all of the amenities to make their lives complete. They can walk, they can fish, they can rest.
Floating homes can be the best of two worlds. You can live right on the water in a peaceful setting, and you're close to the everyday hustle and bustle of city life. Living afloat has often been associated with affordability, but today, living aboard a floating home is a clear lifestyle choice. And there's another big advantage to float home living. There are no lawns to mow.
Looking for more information on features you've seen on today's show? Then visit our website at westcoastescapestv.com. Do you have comments or story ideas for West Coast Escapes? If so, then email us at info@westcoastescapestv.com. DVDs of West Coast Escapes TV are available by single copy or complete box set. Go to our online store at westcoastescapestv.com.
Let's blue sky.